While we are still gathering, I'm going to take the opportunity, considering our size this morning, to invite everyone in the crown nave to get up and come closer to the front. You may do that now. Thank you very much. I'll wait for you, but I'd like you all to move. All of those seated against the wall on my left, please rise. I'm going to take this opportunity to give you a life lesson. Can everyone hear me? Okay. My colleagues on the platform are aware that the way to keep authority is by not using it. When you're dealing with stubbornness, if you're not careful, stubbornness will not only make you lose your authority, but you will lose your dignity also. Don't bite the bait. How many of you understood what I just said? If you did, you will make good leaders. Jesus said, "No man taketh my life, I freely lay it down." There is a difference. Now for our call to order. "100 years ago, Howard Washington Thurman was in his first semester of his senior year at Morehouse College. And this morning, he would have been seated in the 12-year-old Sale Hall Chapel. John Hope would have been presiding as the first self-identified African-American president of Morehouse College, and the first civil rights president in the American Academy. He always addressed the students as young gentlemen. Howard Thurman concluded that the most significant measure of higher education among African Americans has been not its public results, but its private results. The integrity and sacredness of the individual. A life of responsible freedom. Self-validation. self-respect, self-esteem, and self-help. In a world that does not always affirm Black people. Now, these virtues, Howard Thurman believed, were the core values in the Morehouse crown, held over all of our heads with the hope that we will grow tall enough to wear. Welcome to Morehouse's annual Howard Thurman Crown Forum. And now we will have our evocation by Damari Craddock, class of 2025, and one of the Martin Luther King Jr. Chapel assistants, Mr. Craddock.
May we all assume a posture of prayer. Present, merciful, and all-wise Creator, before we make our requests known to you, let us take a moment to thank you. We thank you for waking us up this morning, not just for any ordinary reason, but because you have embedded purpose in our lives. As we journey and matriculate through our experience here at Morehouse College, and the days get rough and the going gets tough, let us be reminded of the words of our fellow Morehouse brother, Howard Thurman, that whatever may be the tensions and the stresses of a particular day, there is always lurking close at hand the trailing beauty of forgotten joy or unremembered peace. We know you are able, God, to grant us the strength when we are tired and weak. We know you are able to give us peace amidst a calamitous and confusing world. We know you are able to keep us healthy amidst viruses and diseases. We know you are able to do this for us because you have done it for our ancestors. So God, that same strength, that same power that helped them on their journey through the wilderness of life and through the hatred of white supremacy, give us that same courage and radical love to help fight in this day of age. I pray, God, that you let us not be weary in our well-doing, because we know in due season we shall reap if we faint not. As we close our decree and declaration, our proactive act of faith, that you will let the words of Howard Thurman penetrate and permeate our hearts and consciousness, that don't ask what the world needs, ask what makes you come alive and go do it. Because what the world needs are people who come alive. Ashe and amen.
Good morning, gentlemen and members of the Morehouse College community. My task today is to announce the awarding of the annual King Scholar. First, I would like to give you a brief history of the award. Thank you. The King Scholar Award was created in 1990 by citizens of Columbus, Ohio, the hometown of our own Dean Lawrence Carter. It is the largest sit-down breakfast held annually in honor of Martin Luther King Jr. that raises up to $15,000 annually. This award is earmarked for a scholar at Morehouse College to further their theological education. And today's awardee would be the 33rd recipient of this award. And before I announce the award, I want to properly state that the King Scholar is one who has preeminent accomplishments throughout their years here at the college. There have been many, many scholars who have become preeminent theologians. Many of them were here when we rededicated this chapel. Today's scholar that I am going to name has the following attributes. He has shared his lifelong talents as a gifted singer by performing and touring with our renowned Glee Club, and as a gifted creative and academic writer by contributing to student publications and presentations, as well as scholarly journals. You may begin to guess who it is. He is also a skilled orator and won first place in our competitive Otis Moss oratorical contest, a long-standing tradition here at Morehouse College. Of note are his tireless efforts and centeredness in service to the Martin Luther King Jr. International Chapel, a campus-based beacon of programming in the nonviolent philosophy and teachings of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and also the teachings of his mentor, the renowned ecumenical theologian, Dr. Howard Thurman. Are you able to guess now who it might be? As the president of Chapel Assistance, this individual has remained at the pulse of the heartbeat of Morehouse College and all that it stands for. By now, you probably know that the awardee has journeyed far, literally and figuratively, to define his career goal with significant scholarly milestones. He received the Distinguished Leward Moore Scholarship and spent a semester at the University of Manchester. He has participated in several scholarly research programs of distinction, the UNCF Mellon Mays Undergraduate Fellowship Program to prepare for the professorate, the Quarterman Keller Social Justice Program based at our sister institution, Spelman College, the Abraham Joshua Heschel Covenant Fellowship from the Israeli Consulate to the Southeast, and as a recipient of the Social Justice Innovation Award at the Andrew Young Center for Global Leadership to support his research and publications. By now, I'm sure many of you know that the awardee of the 2023 King Scholar Award is none other than George A. Pratt. And I want to add that we will have an announcement of an additional award that Mr. Pratt will receive in December. Thank you very much.
Good morning. I will be introducing our speaker for this morning. Kofi A. Kanwani, PhD, is an assistant professor in the Department of Community Health and Preventive Medicine at Morehouse School of Medicine in Atlanta, Georgia. Dr. Kanwani received his PhD in psychophysiology from Maharishi International University in Fairfield, Iowa. Dr. Kanwani has served initiatives supported by the National Institutes of Health, the Department of Defense, and the National Center for Complementary and Integrative Medicine. These research projects have investigated the physiological, psychological, and behavioral effects of consciously resting meditation, which he has taught for 50 years. Primarily in African American populations, Dr. Kanwani has researched the effects of meditation on stress, behavior, hypertension, and other cardiovascular diseases, diabetes, sleep dysfunction. Dr. Kanwani has presented workshops in cultural competency skills, stigma reduction, mind-body medicine, community health, and preventive medicine. He currently serves as the principal investigator of a Fogarty Global Health Fellows and Scholars Consortium, which includes Morehouse School of Medicine, Johns Hopkins University, the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, and Tulane University. This collaboration has developed active research mentoring sites for U.S. medical students and postdoctorates in 17 countries in Africa, Asia, and South America. He also serves as a co-investigator in the collaboration between Morehouse School of Medicine's Natural Product Research Center and ProMetra International in Dakar, Senegal. Following a selection from the world-renowned Morehouse College Glee Club, here, Dr. Kofi Kanwani.
I got a new name. Good morning. First of all, I want to say that those things that you heard about me, they no longer belong to me. They belong to the past. My mind is what I'm going to do next. Today we gather to honor a man, a black man, a man that did not shy about who he was, what he knew, and what questions that he wanted to ask himself and others. And in answering those questions, it helped people understand who they are, why they're here, what their purposes are. Professor Howard Thurman was born in 1899, right at the turn of the century. He was born in Daytona Beach, Florida, and he transitioned in April of 1981. He was 81 years old. He was a chaplain here at Morehouse School of Medicine after being a student, as you are now. He was also the chaplain at Howard University and also Boston University. I have been asked to speak with you all today because of my 50 years of working in this field. In the field of consciousness and silence, we don't understand the value of silence. Even though it's everywhere, evenly present, it's the only thing that's common to all of us. No matter the language, no matter the religion, no matter if you believe it or not, silence is everywhere, evenly present. When y'all came into the room today, you were saying hello to each other and moving around, moving about, some of you not moving. But you slowed things down when you sat down. The room became more orderly. Then you stopped talking. It became even more orderly. What do you think would happen if you stopped thinking? How much more order would there be? We're going to talk a moment, I guess it will be me talking, but we're going to talk about two words, just two words, that Bishop Herman spoke often about, and that was that inner journey. Inner journey. Just those two words mean so much. Because we all have that inner journey, but we have very divergent ways of taking it. Some people take a journey just walking. You can do that. You'll eventually get there, where you want to go. Some ride a bicycle to get to where they want to go. Some drive a car. How about a jet? How about a rocket? But even though you make that journey, it's not an inner journey. It's an outward journey. But when you want to go within, what do? What is your modality of going within? To some, it's drinking alcohol. That's the only time they feel like what they think is themselves. For others, it's taking drugs. You think after you take these drugs that you're going to be okay. You're dealing with your inner journey, but your modality is incorrect. Some people use intimacy. And just that time, or that touch, causes you to, just for a moment, be relieved from all of the things that you are going through. Maybe if you're lucky, it'll be 2 moments. Some use food. They'll just eat, and every time they eat, they feel good. And that feeling is what they're searching for, they think. Some use music, wonderful music. It can be wonderful, or you could be getting cussed out while you're listening to that music. Some people read. Some people study. Some people write. These are ways that people go within. But there's a more direct approach. There's several more direct approaches that you should know about if nobody have told you yet. You could contemplate. You could think about something wonderful. Why is there air? Why do we exist? You can ask a series of questions. And if you can't think of them, read Bishop Thurman. He'll give you some questions to think about. You could concentrate. You could force your mind to go to those deeper levels. And anytime it wanders away, you whip it back, and you wanders away, and you whip it back, and you keep whipping it back until eventually the mind says, okay, I'll give up for a while. But there's an easier way. Now, you can go within yourself through any of the senses. You know, they tell us we have 5 senses. And I say that because even if you remember a smell, that's another sense from within. So you have touch, you have taste. These things lead to the core of your consciousness. They are there to give you information about what is around you and also within you. Because when you're dealing with consciousness, you surround consciousness. You're not your body. You can lose an arm. You can lose a leg. You can even lose a heart, and you're still you. You're not your body. You're not the clothes you wear on your body, the gym shoes that you wear. I saw some beautiful red shoes out here today, but that's not you. You are this infinite, unbounded being. Having a physical experience. And because we live in the world of all possibilities, you are one of those possibilities. But what are you going to do with it? Those are also possible. Whatever you decide to do, it's one of those possibilities, just one that you manifest out of an infinite number of possibilities. So don't box yourself into being something that somebody else expects you to be. Don't allow yourself to be controlled by the TV, because you know what the TV thinks you are. And they make a point to make sure that you are that. It's a trap. Because that's also a possibility. When you realize that we live in a world of infinite possibilities, then what is your limitation? Who do you have to answer to for your life? When you want to make that journey within, you don't need anything. You don't have to ask anybody. Years ago, during apartheid, I taught a minister meditation. He was here preparing to take leadership role in South Africa. Because most black folks were not allowed to take leadership in anything. So when the Boers, as he called them, left power, they left a void of leadership. So he was here studying at UC Davis, and I taught him to consciously rest. And when he finished, he says, "Kofi, this is something that the Boers can never take away from me." He knew that when he went back into the airport in South Africa, they would take his belongings, all the addresses he had accumulated, everything that he had was subject to confiscation, but not the skill to consciously rest. It doesn't matter where you are, doesn't matter who you are. You can set up the conditions and decrease your mental activity until you go beyond thinking altogether and experience pure silence. Not by accident, but by design. Your inner journey doesn't require you to do anything but to let thy will be done. That's all. You set up the conditions and just let go. It's much harder to hold on than it is to let go. If you were dangling off a building somewhere, off this tower here, which is the hardest? Letting go doesn't require you to do anything. And if you are doing anything, you're holding on, not letting go. So, to set up the conditions systematically to go within and experience what Professor Thurman would call deeper levels of silence. You transcend thinking altogether. Now, where are you? Now, what are you? The silence you can experience from within is the same silence our ancestors experienced when they had their turn on earth. The same. How can it be different? And if it was different, somebody wasn't silent. The value of silence, you don't understand that because they don't let us have a moment to ourselves. The radio, if it had a blank minute, somebody's going to get fired. They don't want you to think on your own. TV, if it had a blank screen, how quickly would you turn it to something else? And then if you're a channel flipper, how many murders would you see? How many killings? The same things that we're going through now in real life, you can see it on TV from 10 years ago. When you were younger, just growing up, innocent, unaware of what's going on, that was your mental food. And we allow this. Imagine the average American watching TV 8 hours a day. It's on. I knew someone that had their TV connected to the light switch. They come on, they don't turn on the light, they turn on the TV. What is not going through their head when the TV is on? Many people sleep with it on. Understand, what you put your attention on will grow in your life. Whatever it is. Being a doctor, being a dancer, being a lawyer will grow in your life because you put your attention on it. However, if you put your attention on being a killer, a drug dealer, a pimp, a prostitute, that will grow in your life. This is a law. Whatever you put your attention on. So ask yourself, what am I putting my attention on? What you could learn to do is put your attention on itself. Now attention grows. Now you got more. Then you turn it back on itself again, and you have more and more. This is how you can infinitely perfect your existence as your container of knowledge grows. Whatever you put your attention on will grow. If you don't get anything else from me today, keep that in your mind because you will be putting your attention on it. And it will grow in your life. And I've measured growth in this way. I'm just not telling you something I read. I have been involved with randomized clinical controlled trials, just as you would determine the efficacy of a medication or a surgical procedure. I've looked at what it would mean to turn your attention inward and experience silence on a regular basis. Anyone can do it. You don't even have to believe it will work. I could care less what you believe. But as you experience the source of your mind, where all of the thoughts come from, they have to come from somewhere. And wherever they come from is infinite because you never run out. Okay, when you're taking a test, you might run out a little bit. But going within, you're going toward infinity, yet you are as awake and aware as you are right now. That's what you have the capabilities of. That's what we were doing in the ancient times. That's why we built the pyramids and other structures. Because we knew what our power was. And then I remember in high school, a book that showed some white man with whips lashing black folks up with these stones to the top of the pyramid. Those are the images that trick us. We moved those stones, and it wasn't with a rope. We shaped those stones, and it wasn't just a chisel that was used. We knew the power of consciousness. We have to remember that. We have to put that back together again. And we can do that. And we expect the Morehouse men to be the ones to do that. But where are your consciousnesses? Is it on building or is it on tearing down? Is it just making money? Making somebody happy? If that's what you want, that's what you get. Some people know what they want, and some don't. I knew that if I was going to help a lot of people, I couldn't be a physician, seeing people one at a time. That was not enough. I knew that I had to place my skills between the mind and the body. It's not all body. It's not all mind. But if I could operate between those two entities, then perhaps I could help people prevent the diseases before they solidify in the body, as hypertension. However, as I learned in my career, that it's not much money in prevention. How can you prove you prevented something if it never happened? Well, you actually can. So what I found with hypertension, for instance, we found in a 3-month randomized clinical controlled trial with African American elders back in the 80s. They had to be 55 or older to get in the study. And I used to think, these are some old peoples. But now I are one. So I could be a person in that study. But what we found is after 3 months of consciously resting, that the average blood pressure had dropped about 11 systolic and about a 12 dystolic in this group. That's comparable to medication. And if you had a choice, medication or meditation, what would you pick? Most people want medication. They want it quick now and in a hurry. We also found in another study that people with metabolic syndrome, they not only have hypertension, but they have diabetes, they have high cholesterols, they're usually obese. They were in the study as well, and we found improvements in those biomarkers. Every study that I've been involved in, there was improvements. So why then are we not operationalizing this so that others can experience it just right away? There's no need. I don't necessarily like standing in front of people because I don't want your attention. I want you to give it to yourself. I don't want it. I can't use it, but you can. They're not just the three states of consciousness that we generally think about. Being awake, like you are now, except for the people back over in that corner. You're sleeping, or you're dreaming. Those are the three states of consciousness that we all know of. You have to sleep. If you don't sleep, you're going to sleep. Your body demands it. You could be driving an 18-wheel truck. If your body says sleep, you're going to sleep. You have to dream. Everybody dreams. If you don't dream, it's only because you didn't remember. But everybody dreams because it's the dreaming that is an epiphenomenon of the healing that's taken place in your body. So, being still for sleeping is what sets up the condition for finally your body can get a chance to work on this or work on that or help you heal. Bring the chemistry back into balance. Bring the brain waves to a resting place because they've been working all day. And Lord knows, if you're a student here, they've been working all day. However, there's a fourth state of consciousness, different from waking, different from sleeping, different from dreaming. The characteristics are different. Now you're awake like you are now, but your body is resting as if it was sleep. How many of you have had that experience? Okay. And that's what brought you here, just to be able to do that. Your blood pressure settles. Your brain waves begin to move in the 10 to 12 cycle per seconds. But you're awake. You're alive and allowed to experience those deeper levels of your own mind. You're awake. If somebody called you, you say, well, don't bother me right now. I'm meditating. I'm consciously resting. Come back later. And you go right back into what you were doing. It's a different state of consciousness, though. Psychologically, physiologically, anatomically different. I did one study looking at the weight of the heart. So this was a study. We looked at a person, we measured the person's heart by going through and extrapolating the thickness of the left ventricle. And then you could determine the mass of the left ventricle. The mass decreased in the people that practice consciously resting. And what did we use to measure the heart and the mass? We used sound, echocardiography. And we measured the effects of sound, which is what's used in consciously resting. So I told my committee that this was a very sound proposal and they should support it, my dissertation committee. And not only did they support it, but also the National Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute also supported it. And what we found was that the heart got lighter. And most of you all won't remember, but one of our presidents, Lyndon B. Johnson, said, the heart, well, what he said, that he comes with a heavy heart. A heavy heart implies stress, sin, problems. So I want to let you know today that we're planning on establishing a ministry of silence here at Morehouse School of Medicine. Now, I'm just next door at the School of Medicine, but it's going to be here at Morehouse College. So I invite each of you to participate and learn how to experience deeper and deeper levels of silence within yourself. Thank you.
If you would like to dialogue more with Dr. Kofi, this evening, really late afternoon, 5:30, he will be joining us for the Thurman Thursday Chapel Assistance Meeting in the Chapel Library. If it's too small, we'll come to the stage or go to the African American Hall of Fame. Chapel Assistants, please rise. It is our custom to place a wreath in front of the bas-relief on the obelisk. You may do that now. And while they are going there, we invite you now to stand for the singing of Dear O Morehouse. Please clear the aisle so the chapel assistants can get through. If you're interested, come to the platform over here, and I will explain to you the meaning of that seal in 60 seconds.